It could also be a question of rearranging the puzzle pieces differently so that the things that seem like threats become opportunities. So thank you so much for showing us what you've been doing. We're now quickly moving on into the youth caravan. We have a number, did you get the pictures for his daughter? Okay, good. We have a number of young people here who in various capacities have been looking at youth and agripreneurship. These are the 5 people who will do the thing that youth do best, give us elevator pitches on what they've been doing. Some of them are practitioners. I think none of them knows who will be called up first, which is very exciting because they're probably biting their nails. But they will give us a quick elevator pitch on what exactly they've been doing, and I will ask them the questions that I think that I imagine you have. And if I didn't ask your question, as I said, you will get the opportunity to do this in the youth market. So let's invite the first person with the first elevator pitch. I think we'll start with Lisanne de Bakker, who does the human-centered design for proportion. She's been working in Kenya, and she can tell us, yeah, I'll give you this mic. And
hello everybody, can you hear me? Yeah. Hi. So, I'm Lisanne, I'm a human-centered designer. We have been working in Kenya on Vijana Development, which is a youth entrepreneurship program. We believe that youth have the power to create jobs for themselves. And we do, in this entrepreneurship program, we help them build and set up their own businesses in rural areas. We've seen that not all youth, though, have their own business idea, but are very eager to get into business. So that has now put us into a really interesting position to start also working with different partnerships, including with SNV and soil cares, to shape business cases together with youth and in connection with other private partners, to bridge that gap actually between the opportunities that are there and the youth that are also looking for new ideas. We've started doing that in Kenya this year with a human-centered approach, which means that we involve youth in every step, research, coming up with ideas, but also testing. And the first case is to focus on the potato value chain and looking into how can youth support that value chain, those farmers, with services that include different technologies such as soil testing, but also access to different varieties of seeds, and to bring really the new technologies which youth can easily adopt to the farmers.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lisanne. Please take a seat there. Oh. Yes, it's on. All right, so doing really great work using human-centered design to look at the value chain and create business opportunities in the potatoes chain. Okay, thank you so much. You'll stay put. I would like to now invite Maya, who is doing a PhD. Yes, come forward. A PhD and has been studying youth and entrepreneurship in Uganda. Please start your pitch.
Hello everyone, indeed my name is Maya Turolla, and since 3 years I'm working on a research that focuses on how development organizations are tackling the issue of youth in agribusiness in Uganda, the youngest nation in sub-Saharan Africa. And I'm just coming back from the field, literally a couple of hours back, that justifies the notes, where I have gathered insights and data on how development agencies are tackling these issues together with the private sector. And indeed it is a very tricky conjunction of demographic and economic factors. But my PhD research would not have been possible without the support of a strong community of professionals that, like me, are dedicated to the youth engagement in agribusiness. And I found that in IITA and in YPART, a global network of young professionals for agricultural development. I joined them first 3 years back in Johannesburg for a conference, and then I found their support in Uganda when I started my ethnographic fieldwork I continued engaging with them at FAO in Rome, and now I joined as a communication focal point for Wipart Netherlands.
Thank you so much, Maya. Please take a seat. And I would now like to invite Bertrand Fofi, who will also tell us, he's from Cameroon, is the CEO and founder of Jangolo. Please tell us a little bit about your initiative.
Hi everyone, I'm Bertrand Fofi, and well, I'm 35 and I'm from Cameroon. I arrived in the Netherlands 10 years ago, and I came here to study in Eindhoven, computer science. And yeah, after a few years, I'm currently IT consultant, and 3 years ago we decided to actually do something, because my initial plan when I was coming to Holland was to study 5 years and then go back to Cameroon. But yeah, things happened. So, and 3 years ago, I decided with some of my friends to actually give back, make sure that we give back, especially for me, coming from one of the poorest area in Douala. So it was really important for me to actually give back something. Yeah, considering also the fact that I have few of my childhood friends who had to go through Lampedusa and things like that. So at some point, you really want to give back something. So therefore, we decided to actually find the best way to help the maximum number of people. And farming, indeed, is one of the points. But from my background as an IT expert, I was thinking, what is the best way for me to actually give back? So that's basically how we started with the project of Jangolo, and which was really broad. It was not 100% clear what we wanted to do until in November 2016, we joined the Pitch AgriHack from CTA, where we were actually finalists in the advanced project. And from there, we actually decided to actually improve and sharpen our vision and our objective, which is actually the result. I mean, the result today, what we have today, we have two platforms that actually focus on helping farmers. We have three main points. We want to reduce the time the farmer used to spend on things that are not related to farming, indeed. And we also want to improve the time the farmers spend on doing training, actually farming. And the combination of this is actually to improve the outcome, the life standard of the farmer. So I hope today we will have time to share a bit more about this. Yeah, thank you.
There'll be more time. Thank you so much, Bertrand. And swiftly, yes, I would like to invite Frederik de Muis, who's part of the YEP program. Could you please, yes. Thank you. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing. You are from TU Delft, and what did you do?
Yes, so my name is Frederik de Muis, and I work with the Delft University of Technology for the Valorization Center. And what I do for the Technical University of Delft is that we, on entrepreneurship, we organize a number of trainings with universities together with the Delft Center for Entrepreneurship, which we execute in various countries together with local universities. In Uganda, so I'm based in Uganda, but I think I spend half my time elsewhere: Rwanda, Tanzania, Zambia, and Nigeria.
Great, thank you so much. Please take a seat. It's a hot seat, yes. And last but certainly not least, we have Maarten Hermes, as you can read yourself, business development and co-owner of Holland Green Tech. Tell us, what is that?
Yeah, so good morning, my name is Maarten. I'm a farmer's son from the Netherlands, and I'm the business developer and co-owner of Holland Green Tech. We are an horticultural input and service provider in East and Southern Africa. We supply quality seeds, affordable irrigation, soil analysis, biological pest control, and a whole range of products, mainly sourced from the Netherlands, which we supply to agribusiness, mostly small and middle-scale farmers in Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, and Zambia. We are growing fast. We are hiring a lot of people. We have now 30 full-time employees. The average age is under 30 because youth are able to help us in our quick growth. And this year we expect to reach more than 10,000 farmers with our free trainings, which is our marketing model. I see a lot of opportunities for youth in agriculture, specifically if you see agriculture as a business, which we are promoting, and we are seeing that our farmers are easily increasing their yields and becoming from a small farm a professional agribusiness, hiring young people or they are young themselves. So what my opportunity for the youth is direct private sector funding and investment. I think improving that and making that more available will help us grow and will have a very big effect on local agribusinesses.
Great, thank you so much. Please have a seat. So we have these are our agribusiness supermodels on the stage. So we have we've showcased a couple of things, right? So Dr. Kwesi Atakra has set the stage for us, what is really the situation that we're trying to deal with. And these are a number of responses. So some people are focusing more on, I would say that some of the dimensions that we can hear already are entrepreneurship versus employment, right? That's one dimension I think is important to explore and discuss. And another dimension is mainstreaming versus specific youth programs, right? So are we going to just add a youth program to what exists, or are we going to be mainstreaming, doing a youth-specific thing in what exists? So there are a couple of differentiating dimensions here. So I'm going to, is there anybody who wants to, perhaps Maya, you want to, oh, did I?
No, no.
Okay, maybe you want to respond to this because you're a social scientist and you've been studying this. So you're not necessarily a practitioner, but you've been studying, looking a little bit at trends and opportunities. So what is your feeling when it comes to, or you're not your feeling, your knowledge, of course, when it comes to youth and youth programs, mainstreaming versus youth-specific programs, or employment versus entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so that was pretty much a question that I posed myself as I started off my research, and we were trying to figure this out with some colleagues at IITA, and it was really a challenge. So what we found is that indeed there are different approaches to the engagement of youth in agribusiness, and some of them are tackling those specific challenges like land access or access to finance, which can be even more challenging for the young women in the sector. And they do that by creating market linkages. So you find that the development organization constitutes the market linkage between private sector and the groups of youth. And you find there that there are main differences among the youngest among the youth and the older among the youth. So you will see that it might be more effective to engage the very young ones in outdoor schemes to develop the agri skills that make them employable for private sector companies, while the older ones, which might have already gathered knowledge throughout their experience and possibly other trainings from the many organizations that are in these sectors, can be skilled for entrepreneurship skills. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
But that is just a very general distinction. If we want to start breaking down the category of youth, and as Dr. Atakra already mentioned, it's not an homogeneous group. I can talk for hours about how that is the case indeed also in Uganda. But I would say the first distinction to be made when targeting youth is to consider what their specific capacities and constraints are, being the younger or the older, and what their context specific is in terms of territorial environment, but also the social cultural environment, specifically for women.
Okay, great. So we should really pay attention to the diversity of youth when addressing youth, and not look at it as a homogeneous group. What would you say is the key? Because you just stepped off. You also just stepped off a plane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same plane.
Yeah. Oh, you were on the same plane. Well, it's your private jet. You're flown in. What would you say is your key insight in your fieldwork? You just came. What is the thing that you're really sort of chewing on after your study, your fieldwork?
Well, I will drop on the floor my main frustration. So it's a collaboration between the different stakeholders in development. After I collected data for 6-7 months, I was able to give a presentation for all the stakeholders involved, was private sector, research institutes, and NGOs, but also bilateral, multilateral, African Development Bank. Everybody was at this round table, and it was amazing to see how much expertise there already is about this. For as much as research is needed to understand what the specific youth capacities and constraints are in different countries, there is already a lot of experience on the field. Yet, organizations are working independently from each other, which I find is very much a problem, because you find that public sector organizations have more of a blanket approach. They invest maybe in startup capitals, while private sector-driven organizations work with market linkages. If this could be joined, it would be, yeah. But I think this is very much the theme of why we are all here, and I think that's maybe the biggest frustration and insight. So at a higher level, there needs to be something happening in terms of collaboration and coherence. And I think that requires flexibility for the design of the programs. So not only adapting to context in the phase of implementation, but really in the designing phase, the engagement of all actors.
Well, thank you so much, Maya. I would like to move on to Lisanne. You are working in Kenya as a human-centered designer. So what would you say, and that maybe tell us a little bit, those of us who don't know what exactly that means, and from that perspective, what is it that you've learned?
Yeah, so actually it means exactly what you just said in your last sentence, which means working with the people that you're also working for, and understanding how you can, through the phases of a project, involve those people. So, for example, we are now working on 1 year in this project in Kenya, but it didn't start with a fully designed plan. We had an idea, we had certain issues that we wanted to understand, and in the beginning of the year we did research, we actually involved youth. I went together with one of the local youth from that area to do interviews, to also ask him what he thought he saw. Tomorrow I'm going back, actually, you're coming back, but I'm flying tomorrow. And Monday we're going to sit with 10 youth from the area again, bringing all our ideas, the different partnerships that we've been forming over the last few months, and also understanding what do they think of this, and what do they want to see, where, like, literally I'll put all the options on the table, say which do you don't like, give other ideas, and then we also engage in, for example, the government, the FAO, and exactly adapting our program to where the different interests combine, because we want to maybe do something with, we started with soil testing, but now we feel that there's a lot of also governmental support for the potato sector and a lot of need. So as soon as we decided to focus on that sector, so many opportunities opened up, and we're now looking for seeing how we can actually collect those and make them concrete, and so that's going to be the next few weeks.
Could you name some of the opportunities?
Yeah, so there's a lack of certified seeds that are produced in Kenya, so there's a lot of focus on new varieties of seeds, but also understanding what the market wants. So farmers might grow local seeds and say there's a problem with market connection, but they don't know which are the seeds that actually the market desires, so or the type of potatoes. So those simple linkages we also see to work together with that, and maybe create demo farms with the youth to showcase new varieties, sell those, yeah.
And what would you say, so I mean, looking at the youth, right? So there are opportunities in the market, but looking specifically at the youth, what would you say is a key learning for you so you specified on potatoes, there are all these opportunities that you see, and the youth, in fact?
Well, I'm very interested in also that it doesn't have to be that you have a specific background. So we want to see now a diverse group of youth, since that the ones that are going the fastest was a guy in computer science, or someone who is a farmer himself but maybe doesn't have a particular background. So I think the nice thing was that bringing these different sectors of youth also together, and seeing like where that they are excited, for example, with technologies such as soil testing. I think I love like what you said before as well. It should be exciting, and that I've seen. I've seen that bringing those ideas, thinking that together with youth, they get excited. They start seeing opportunities, different things than I can see. So that is also very nice. So I think, yeah.
Can you give us an example of something that they saw that you didn't see in terms of opportunity?
Yeah, so for example, we were talking to someone called Agri Wallet. They're doing things with market linkages, and then youth from the group were already engaging with their local SACCOs, seeing like different like buying groups in their own areas, and saying, oh, they need this. Let's go to them. Let's talk to them, and bringing those contacts back to us, but also actively sharing the story with farmers in their own communities. And we're going now back tomorrow, so I hope after 2 weeks that I have a lot more of those ideas with them. Yeah.
Thank you so much for letting us see what can happen, the wealth of things to divide when the things to share when you listen to the youth themselves and involve them in the process. Bertrand, I wanted to specifically continue with you because you told us a little bit about the context from which you started your initiative. Why did you do this? Why did you start this Jangolo?
Well, as I mentioned,
Cameroon.
Yeah, indeed. As I mentioned, I am coming from a very poor neighborhood in Douala. That's called Bipanda, actually, for those who know a bit about. And I think, well, I consider myself today having the opportunity, having had the opportunity to study abroad and to be okay. I believe I'm really privileged about it. So, but I keep on having this idea of, I mean, every time when I go back to Cameroon, I'm not living in the same area anymore when I'm in Cameroon, but I have the image of the contact of the people that are actually my friends of my childhood and so, and I know what the problems that we have, and to be more specific, so usually I'm working here in Holland. I'm trying to I'm working on technologies that will be used maybe in 5 or 10 years. And when I go back to Cameroon and I see that there is the hospital or the police has no website, so then you have this type of issue. You have very basic things that are still not done, and which technically should be able to. I mean, if I have the opportunity to train 5 students from the first year in university, they should be able to do something really that could have a real big impact. So the idea was actually to say, I have the knowledge here, and I have 2 choices, as all the other Cameroonians in the diaspora. Either I live my life, very nice life, and so on until I'm 50 or 60, and when I retire, then I go back to Cameroon to see what I can do, or I take action now, and I do it now. Okay, of course, it's more challenging now because if you get married, you plan to get married, to get kids, and so on, then putting all this together is, yeah. But for me, the determination was stronger because I couldn't stand really the youth in Cameroon or in Africa generally having to go through Lampedusa, for instance, to do things to, yeah, why I know I could actually offer something. And I think the platform we have today, we are helping, we are assisting and try to empower, I think we have a network of 8,000 people in the value chain, and we have 6,000 farmers. And honestly, when I started the project, yeah, I had questions like, people don't even have internet in Africa, why? You know this? And then, okay, even if they have internet, do you think you will have enough farmer to have a smartphone or something like that? So you have questions. But for me, I was, okay, fine. Even if I have 500 farmers and I can we can actually make a difference in their life, for me, it should be enough. Now we are with 6,000 farmers and around 1,000 companies around the farmer, because this is actually what we do. So we have one application that actually makes it easy for the farmer to actually grow the crop. So we help them doing the planning and bookkeeping and all those things. So all they have to do is to put the information in. Because one of the things that we found was that a farmer, for one basic question to say, okay, what is the unit cost, the cost per unit for, I mean, the poultry, like for one chicken? And they would say, no, usually I just produce, I sell, and then I see what I, but it's already too late. So what we do is that we actually provide them an application that helps them to actually just put all whatever they spend, and then the system will actually gather from the data that they provide and provide them with decision-making information. Yeah.
And are these, so that you have 6,000 farmers?
Yes.
And are these young farmers or mixed?
Yeah, if you take in the short answer is they are young. Because, the filter is that if you take people who have access to internet, who are comfortable using the platform, the web platform, because we released a mobile application recently only, so it was mainly web. So if you take those two parameters, then you already filter out a lot of people who either they don't have access to internet or they don't have access to smartphone. They don't know how to use smartphone. Yes, so
yes.
Yeah,
They're young if the filter is the ability to use these platforms.
Yeah, I mean, for us, the idea was actually to help the maximum, right? And we're still working on that because the release of the new Android application is actually to get closer to them. So even if you have a smartphone, you don't have internet, you can actually use it still. And the next step is to have the USSD. So for people with feature phone, they should be able also to use it. But for now, statistically, only people having internet and knowing how to use smartphones.
So what would you say is your most important lesson? You're an agripreneur yourself, you have a startup, you have thousands of people who are involved in your product. So what would you say is the most important lesson? I could also ask you your most important challenge, but let's focus on the lesson for now. We can talk about the challenge after. Or it's both the same.
Okay. There are two ways of looking at the lessons. Either, on one hand, is the lessons that we, as the team, Jangolo team, what we learn. And then there is also the other side of the lesson that we can share with the people who want to invest in this. In any case, they have some similarity. For us, we started initially the project with a pilot farm, like really a poultry farm with 2,000 chickens and capacity. And then we started doing bee farmers, actually. But that was definitely not a good idea.
Beekeeping.
Sorry?
Beekeeping.
Yeah, to actually have to run a farm.
Yeah, okay.
That was actually what we started.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So we had to own a farm and actually do things. And then we got some problem with the logistic, and then we said, yeah, maybe we can actually also start a new, to have like trucks or whatever to also take care of the logistic. And then we started thinking of having other things, but this is definitely not the way to do it. We should just focus on really one thing. And we did it like for 2 years, around 1 year. And then we noticed that, okay, we were actually spending a lot of energy, and we're having less, return or whatever. And so the lesson is definitely that when you want to start, first focus on one thing. And the second thing is focus on the position where you can give the best of yourself, because the three people who created the company, actually, we are all IT related guys. So this is probably our strongest strength, if I may say it this way. And then we started to say, okay, let's just focus on having the infrastructure to help all the actors. People doing logistics, we onboard them, the people doing whatever in relation with the farmer activity, we just onboard all of them, and then we put them in the part of the farm. Yeah.
Okay, so we're seeing a little bit of a pattern here, I think. So when you talk about youth, make sure you talk about them in a diversified way. They're not a homogeneous group. And when you start, try and pick a focus. Don't try and do everything at the same time. It's the experience in Kenya and your experience in Cameroon. Don't just try and find your focus, and that will help you get further to respond to what's going on in the market. You, Frederike, and you are both in the YEP program.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit? Could you tell us a little bit about this program?
Yeah, is it working? Yeah.
Yes.
So the Young Expert Program is a project supported by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that enables young people, either Dutch or from the country where they will be based, to develop a career in agribusiness or water. So for example, in my example, I started the company with my colleague Victoria, which is a Ugandan lady. I'm a Dutch guy. Both we are supported by some of the costs we endure as a startup company, for example, work visa, housing, all the extra costs you would have if you're working abroad. And then the ministry chips in a bit of money for that to help you gain that experience and still be affordable for a company to hire. Also, they support a whole development program. So we get trainings, we get access to master classes, we get access to, for example, how to develop your own business. We get trainings on that. So we get a lot of support how to work your way into becoming a professional in agriculture or water. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So for me, it's very nice. Also for us as a young startup, it really helps us to grow without giving us too strict rules what we do with the money. As long as we enable the youth to gain the experience, we get support, and that's for us very important. It's flexible and it's very useful also for us as startups.
Yeah, so it's a nice capital input to help you as a startup to expand.
Yeah, so the capital and also the development that you can offer young people. Right. They don't only want to have a normal salary, they also want to be able to learn and to become a real professional in their job. So they need access to master classes or access to, for example, coaching and all these things. They are provided by the program. Yeah.
And I saw on your slide you specifically employ people. It's not about you are a business person who has a number of employees.
Well, I started as an employee,
yeah.
And now I'm also in one of the other companies. We are setting up more companies. I'm also becoming one of the owners. Yeah, because I see it's work and it's working and it's nice. So yeah. Yeah. So
well, that's really great for you. And what do you think for you the difference between you know, the risk of starting a business, being an entrepreneur, versus giving people employment? Because you're doing both, right? You have this opportunity to be a business person and you're becoming an owner and you're giving people employment. What's your perspective on this?
Yeah, so we are giving people employment and we train people, for example, irrigation engineers or agronomists who are in the field every day, reaching farmers, and these farmers buy our input. So it's a sustainable model in that way. So that's for us very important. But it's also a bit risky, of course. We're a young company, so you never know what you're going to get. But that's also, I think, something we learned today. Like a lot of people talk about action. So I think what's very important to talk less and just to dare to be quick and dirty, just to start with it. And of course it can fail. The company could still fail, but I think we're heading the good way, so we're getting there. But it's just a thing, just start with it and dare to be quick and dirty, and then hire young people because they're quite easy in learning and in also becoming a business on itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Frederike, you are also from the YEP program. Could you tell us a little bit more about